Well, hey, everybody. Did you miss us? Sorry for the little gap there. We had to take a break. Hey, it's the first time in 3 years that we've taken a break. So we're not even genuinely apologizing. Stuff happens. Literally, life happened, and we had to skip one of them. If you're curious about the movie we were going to do for the last time, if you want to give us your feedback on social media, we'd love to hear it. But my second pick was Lake Mungo. But this week, my third pick is actually a movie that is near and dear to my heart. It's probably a top 10 for me, but we'll get into that. But we're going to be reviewing The Strangers tonight. And I'm looking forward to talking with my buddies about it. But before we do that, let me introduce you to who are my buddies that are on tonight. We've got Jamie up in New Jersey. How's it going, Jamie?
It's going all right.
Good. So my question, as I always have something teed up to get the conversation flowing, especially after we've had a little vacation, but if you were in a secluded house by yourself and you left the room and came back and something had been obviously moved to another place, what are you doing? What's your move? You're just walking out.
Bouncing. Yeah. My car's in the driveway, in it.
Do you
Cell phone in my pocket, out the door.
Hold on, Jamie, I need you a clarification.
Wait, you know what though? Sometimes I'm absent-minded. What if I put it there and I thought I left it in a different spot? You think, oh, my phone, you go to grab your phone, like, oh, fuck, I didn't put it there. Because maybe someone's been moving shit around me all the time. Do you know how many times my things are not in the places that I thought it was? So maybe I have someone doing to that.
That would be the hilarious thing. Like you're walking 5 miles away from the house in the pitch black and you go, oh, shit, I picked up that lighter.
Well, Jamie, just for clarification, if, let's say you do realize.
That someone else did it, you're saying.
Or you just realize like something moved, I didn't move it.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, I'm going to leave. Do you even acknowledge before you leave that it moved? Or do you just kind of like walk in a room, no reaction?
No, I found. I turn around.
Head to the door. No acknowledgement.
Grab the cat, we're out.
And never look back. That's the worst mistake you make. Never, ever look back.
Oh, God.
We know what's back there now. This movie has taught us what's back there if you look back. So just don't do it. And then that other beautiful, beautiful sonorous voice you heard tonight is our buddy Eli up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Not a state that has been in the news for the last month.
No, never.
I'm sure everything up there is fine.
It's great. It's like it's like being in Wonka Land. Specifically, it's like being in that tunnel where the colors are going, and it looks like some eldritch nightmare. It's great.
How much shouting is going on in the great state of Pennsylvania?
You know what's weird is we moved past the shouting. That lasted much shorter than I thought it would.
People wore themselves out faster than you thought they would.
I don't know. It's now into weird stares. Everybody just walking around weirdly,
like trying to figure out who voted for who.
Yeah, it's like this.
Who is it? Who is it?
It's like this. It's like no one's calling anybody out, but they're all just looking at each other, just figuring it out.
And as a Jeep driver, I'm guessing that people are giving you a double take every time you go anywhere. Like this guy right here. He's the problem.
See, I was actually excluded from them long ago because I refused to put the duckies on my dash because I'm not stupid.
Wait,
so you're an expatriate?
Oh wait, I don't want to get. Do I want an explanation here?
I don't know why it's a Jeep thing where you put these rubber ducks all over your dash, and it's stupid.
On your dash,
literally,
like in front of you while you're driving.
Yeah, literally. Eli goes into a restaurant. He comes out, and somebody's put a freaking duck.
I was so angry. People used to do it all the time because I don't have any of them. And I would, and Mary would get mad because like the first two I chucked across the parking lot because I wanted no part of it.
You are the problem.
Yeah. Well, like there's also the Jeep wave where if you drive Jeeps, you just wave at each other.
The shake. Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. And some people would get so mad at me if you're like sitting out late and they just keep Jeep waving me. And I'm sitting there, no ducks, no Jeep wave. And then they start giving me the Jeep finger because I wouldn't wave at them or I didn't have any ducks.
No, this is a fucking thing.
It's stupid. Because here's the thing, Jeep people. Listen, I'm just going to say something, right? Jeep people, if you have, because
just call them Jeeple.
You Jeeple. Some of them, these idiots, have like 50 fucking hard plastic ducks on their dash.
So dumb.
Let me ask you a question. When you hit something, God forbid, another car, a tree,
roll it over,
anything, and your airbags deploy, that's like sitting a
Bullets?
foot in front of a fucking landmine. Because now you just have these hard plastic ducks that all look like assholes. Because I got my ninja duck, got my clown duck, got my camo duck, launching directly into your face.
I'm so glad I'm not part of some car community. I mean,
I'm
I have
not
a
either.
car. I love my car, but what I mean is, though, I don't own a car. That's part of, as from my knowledge, a car community. Which
It's
the only
stupid.
ones I could think of right now is like maybe if you have a classic car or something. That's
Mhm.
just a community. This Jeep fucking thing, and if you have a fucking rolling dumpster known as a Cybertruck, I think they have a fucking community too.
Well,
Yeah. The funny
Nothing-
thing is, go ahead.
Nothing would anger me more is like Mary and I'll be driving and people Jeep wave. I don't oblige back because I think it's stupid. So she'll start doing it
Oh, I would never
because
but
she
I think we
knows
know
it
me.
annoys me. It
Oh,
really does
okay,
because it annoys
fair.
me. She also, this clown, a couple weeks ago, she needed to use my car. Fine, no worries. And then she dropped it back off at work in the parking lot. Came in, was like, hey, I dropped your car off. I think she even brought me like dinner or something.
Oh,
How
Hey,
nice.
real nice. I was like, oh, that's nice, awesome. So when I'm
Mary.
well, hold on, no, because when I'm leaving work with the guy I was working with, we're talking, and I go to look across the parking lot or something, and he starts laughing hysterically.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why. So I turn to look, and there's about 15 fucking ducks sitting on my dash.
Mary,
I-
busy.
I was so angry. I called her, and normally Mary goes to bed as soon as the sun sets.
No, she stayed up for this. She was
She
looking
stayed
forward
up
to
and
that
waited
call.
because she knew I was calling to warn me if I threw those ducks away, I was going to be in trouble. So I put them all in my lunchbox and then threw them on the table.
Oh, Mary,
I don't
that is
get
awesome.
it.
Keep
I
up
don't
the
get
good
the
work.
duck thing.
It's stupid, is what it is, Jamie. It's stupid.
Well, luckily, the Jeep community is a very small niche community, and there's no way in hell that we've actually offended any of our listeners.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what I say that?
What you always say 99% of the people disagree
90.
with you.
Don't give them too much. 90% of people may disagree with me, but 90% of people are wrong. That's right there. That's fact. If you're
So-
looking for a source to cite, this guy.
So talking about that, and we will, I promise people, we are going to get to the movie.
To
review
a movie,
apparently.
yeah.
But you had mentioned, as we're talking about the Jeep things, and Jamie has seen my pickup truck, which I still have. And so
Fucking
Dave,
giant. It's mad. I can't even get
Yeah.
in it. Dave has to like lift me into it because
Dave climbing out of that, I didn't get any looks because obviously that's what you would expect. I have the look of the guy who would drive that vehicle. But the funny thing is now I have a Tesla, and when I'm going somewhere and I get out of it, people look at me like I'm a pedophile. Like, something bad has happened here. That bear just got out of a toy car. It's just funny. I do get double takes all the time when I climb out of that thing.
They're like, we're not in hipster country. That man's
Yeah.
wearing flannels and has a beard driving a Tesla.
no, but that's not even anymore because like it's just the car. Like if I drive through my parking garage, there's like
It's true. Yeah.
30% of the cars in the parking garage are
Yeah.
Teslas.
And the honest answer is when I started driving to friggin' Lansing, Michigan, I was not going to drive my pickup truck back and forth to Lansing, Michigan. That was not going to happen. So David got him a little robot car to drive him up there.
Oh.
Elliot, you don't have the rolling dumpster though.
No, I do not. I have the
Oh,
car.
thank God.
I have the small car.
Thank you. Thank God. Oh my God. I can't.
You mean the
when
car
I see
they
them on the street, I like, especially if I'm with someone too. And they're like, oh, there's this. I literally go, don't look at it. Don't even give them the attention. Don't even fucking look at that thing.
Don't
Because that's all
even
they want.
gratify them.
There's a guy at
Don't-
work.
I know it's ugly. Don't stare right at it.
There's a guy at work who's saying, I want one of those. It looks like the Halo car. And I'm like, the moment you do, I can't speak to you anymore.
Yeah.
And if you call it the Halo car instead of the Warthog, you don't deserve one anyway.
No.
Oh boy. Anyway.
I will say because, again, my God, we will get to the movie. This is the last little intersection, but I just came back from SEMA in Las Vegas. My friends were just asking me about it. And as you can imagine, there were Cybertrucks everywhere at SEMA.
Yeah, were
'cause
there?
It's the new platform. But the one that I found most hilarious was there was a wood paneled Cybertruck.
Oh,
my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Surfboards up on the top. And I thought it was the most funny thing I'd ever seen.
Oh my
but-
God.
I thought about Jamie and I took pictures and I forgot to send it to you, so I'll apologize in advance. There was a fully customed, like restaurant truck, like food truck, called the Big Deborah instead of Little Debbie. And they had this painted Big Deborah on the side of it, and right under where you would order the food, it said, "They ain't gonna eat themselves, boys." And as you can imagine, and the reason I pointed out Jamie is she was Big Deborah.
She was well endowed. Oh my God! Wait, Dave, do you still have this picture?
I'll send
send it to me, because I know you did send me the Toyota Supras, which I appreciated, because that car, beautiful. But like, send me this.
Some Big Deborah. It was fantastic. Anyway, back to horror movies.
Not cars.
Once again, as I promised, we're going to get to that, but we still have more to talk about because my poor boy Eli has been without a vent in the paranormal for 2 weeks, and it's been a friggin' busy 2 weeks. It is even percolated up to where it's on my radar. I know there's been big doings, but I'm not going to ruin his fun. Eli, give us this week or the last 2 weeks update in the Wicked Whispers.
There's so much.
Are we going to be here all night? Do we need to give you a second episode?
I'm going to hit the important ones, but realistically, the last 2 weeks have been so fucking insane.
Multi-species.
We're talking about like, I could do a 9-part miniseries on the last 2 weeks alone, right? But hey, let's just get into this shithole. Let's start with the alien front. As we know, there was a hearing in the U.S. House again on UAPs, which a lot of people were like, they didn't announce aliens were real. And I was like, were you even fucking listening? Like, it was the most insane. Like, one, not a lot of media coverage. Two, everybody was boring. And I'm like, were you watching the same fucking thing? First off, we weren't talking about pilots, or we weren't talking about just so-and-sos, or like
military departments.
We had a military department testify, a guy who was former military department and was now running one of the largest sea-based military contractors, who runs the military exercises in the sea. He runs them. That's not like, oh, it's like 3 boats out there. No, people, these are like war practices.
This isn't Bob the dock worker.
We're talking about big names. Couple big things came out of that, which fortunately, because some of it's classified, they could not show the evidence in the open hearing. Lame. But some of the things that were admitted. One, that the U.S. military has actively gone through ways to obscure the House from subpoenaing information about this, or presenting any evidence they have, including giving it to third parties so it gets proprietary protections. They're just fucking giving it to people. And then my conspiracy brethren, who are all quiet, who has claimed conspiracy around Lockheed Martin for years, they were admitted to be involved. Finally, like, government mouthing, like there was government official mouthing.
You don't need to watch the YouTube.
These words. And people were just like, this was boring. And I'm like, for years, you people have just the things that surround them. And now they're brought up in an actual conspiratorial issue. And we're just like, boring. They also admitted, which was the first time, the large amount of presence of UFOs in the ocean, which before they never admitted, including satellite imaging of one that was larger than a football field.
Now we're talking.
What?
Now we're talking.
What? They were also at one point saying there could be evidence of trans-species. Multiple species together in one. What? Like, what? And they're talking about their capacities are much larger, and that it was alluded, not in a they seem peaceful, that they were fucking with us and watching our military shit and fucking with planes and boats. And people were just like, boring. Were you watching the same hearing? I think about 15 minutes in when they start talking about the underwater stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is the first time they're admitting that. And then they're talking about satellite imaging and the size. The rest of it, the last 2.5 hours, my mouth's like this, just wide open. I couldn't close it. I was shocked. I didn't even know how to react to it.
Even the Mole King was out of his element.
Like, listen, people, when you watch these things, unless forced to, they're never going to come out and be like, oh, hey, we're finally doing everything. We're going to bring in Bob the Alien. Bob the Alien, introduce yourself. They're never going to do that. But the fact that they're talking about these things on government record, could that mean aliens are real and like we know about it? That's what it seems. Or is it like them making up shit for whatever other means? Possibly. But either way, the most absurd fucking event has been playing out on our TVs since 2020, and no one seems to give a shit. Now, granted, the world's on fire, right? And you're like, and it's like being like, hey, my house is burning down around me, and you're telling me to look at a big comet coming from the sky. Got to figure out the burning house first. I get it. But there's some weird shit going on. So that's alien news, as well as a bunch of other UFO sightings that's been coming out. So like,
Jamie seems to have fallen out of her chair.
I know, she's so shocked. You throw a fucking rock and you can see one of these videos of new UFO sightings. All of a sudden, they're seeing a bunch in China. Doesn't seem scary at all or point to anything. So that's aliens. In the AI world, once again, more articles have come out the past 2 weeks about AI getting ahead of us. It's figuring out more ways to lie and manipulate humans, which isn't a problem.
We're easy at this point.
Yeah. But what may be shocking for you, any of you guys play Pokemon Go?
Not a while, but I did.
My daughter does. She uses my phone too.
If this will blow your mind, the company, Niantic, came out and was like, hey, just so everybody knows, we had an AI in the background of that creating the most comprehensive geo-tracking and location system currently known.
Sorry, not sorry.
They use Pokemon Go as a way to build an AI. So now we can't even trust our fucking Pokemon anymore. They're all Terminators, AI controlled from the future. So AI is running. Also, our boy Elon Musk said that he's hoping to incorporate AI into the government to make it more efficient, which is probably the last place I want AI, because now you're just giving them all the power. So that's great. In the cryptid news, in the last 2 weeks, there's been multiple sightings of the Mothman between Eastern Europe and Russia, as well as claims of in the US. So, hey, every time we see him, nothing bad happens. Nothing bad happens. So, like, I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, he's a harbinger of joy and peace, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's his nickname, harbinger of joy and peace. So that's going on. Bigfoot, there's been multiple Bigfoot sightings, as well as a new video that came out showing a Bigfoot. Just the only thing I can describe it as Muay Thai kicking a fucking tree down. Haven't disproved it yet. So apparently even Bigfoot's fed up with this shit. Now he's gone the fucking Rambo route. And if you think if he can kick a tree down, just imagine what he can do to you. Just imagine what he can do to you.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, 2025 will be next year. That is the date of the next Kumite. Maybe he's just preparing for
That's true.
Kumite.
That's true. You know, there's little blood sports happening. Exactly. You know, he's gonna go fight for us, I hope.
Hopefully.
So that's happening. More reports are coming out about how they have found all these seeds and bacteria and viruses and plants and worms in the permafrost, since it's fucking melting, which is terrifying. And they're bringing them all back. Worms are alive. Don't know what the fuck that means. They're growing plants that they don't know what they are, but they found the seeds. They're growing them. So, like,
Are they smoking them yet, though? That's the real question.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure the worm
100%. Yeah.
Like, the scientists are looking over it and that worm's going to go, you should smoke that. And instead of being like, are you talking worm? They're going to be like, it's a good idea, worm. That's a good idea. What's the worst that can happen?
I like the cut of your jib, worm.
I like the cut of your jib, worm. I appreciate it. So like, that's great. Nothing could go bad there. And then finally, which may be just the icing on top of this shit cake. Another study came out last couple weeks that believe that there's actually more serial killers in the U.S. right now than there has been in the 60s, 70s, and 80s combined. Combined.
Huh.
So, yeah, think about that tonight when you go to bed and you hear a weird sound. Probably not a serial killer or Bigfoot or Mothman, AI, aliens, trans-species aliens, which... No, I don't even know. Like, what is happening? This is 2024, people. What the fuck's going to happen next year? It's like every year since like the government came out 2020 was like aliens. It is literally every year after has gotten crazier. Every month this year has, I don't know, like, what's December going to bring? I don't even know. I don't even know at this point.
Are we going to make it to 2025?
Are we? Yeah.
I imagine at this rate, if you were asking me to provide a statistical analysis of the likelihood of how far to 2025 we're going to make it, the only vague answer I can give you is we're fucked.
Does it matter?
Doesn't matter. We're fucked.
Well, thank you, Eli. Now that we're
welcome.
all in a light-hearted, happy mood.
Yeah.
Here at the holidays. You always bring the Christmas spirit, and that's what I really appreciate about you.
No, you're welcome. Just imagine what I'm going to bring actually right, like after Christmas, like, oh, hey, remember on Christmas Day when like those trans-species aliens came down and like blew up the Christmas tree in Times Square? Remember that? That was cool. As I'm speaking to you from the Wicked Wild bunker from an undisclosed location, from our CP system so the aliens can't find us.
Recording with your generator humming in the back.
Mothman's only been sighted 11 times today. If you've seen the 12th time, let us know.
He's looking for those pancakes, Eli.
Well, listen, you know what? At this rate, I don't even think Mothman pancakes can help us.
Just giving up.
I had my first Reese's Christmas tree of the season, and I was like, just doesn't
taste like dirt this year, doesn't it?
It's not doing anything for me. Just tastes like a big chocolate covered ball of sadness.
That was my punk band's name in college.
Big chocolate ball of sadness.
Yeah.
That's a really good band name. That's a really good band name.
Well, on that note, we're going to get into our movie review. Like I said at the top, this is the second review you're hearing, the third movie that I had selected, but one that I am excited to get into. The Strangers is one that means a lot to me, but we'll get into that here in a minute. But before we do that, we are going to do our traditional on the fly synopsis, and I'm going to let Jamie off the hook and have her be my interviewee this evening. So it'll be either me or Eli who has to give the synopsis. But my question to select arbitrarily who that's going to be, Jamie, is which of these two movies, home invasion movies, do you believe is more scary than The Strangers? Here's your two selections. Turner and Hooch or Step Brothers?
Oh, I'm fine with either one. But this is the first time I'm fine with either one.
Those are two good movies, but like only one breaks my fucking heart. I mean, like
it's Step Brothers, right? Because he touches the drumstick.
Step Brothers,
his drum set.
Step Brothers is fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm. It is top tier. Yeah.
It is. Did you say scare? You said scarier is how you posed this question. Yeah. Turner and Hooch, because spoiler alert for a movie that might be older than I am or the same age as I am, but like Hooch doesn't make it.
Yeah. And that's
he does
wrong.
have puppies though. Does have puppy, right? Well, he doesn't. He's a boy. He's a male, but his counterpart.
There is a second generation of Hooch.
There's a second generation Hooches, but that movie, first of all, never mind. We've already gone on tangents today, but Jamie at this point in life and knew very long ago, stopped at whatever age of in her teens, does not watch any movie that has a lead dog in it or the main character or one main character is a dog. Never going to happen anymore. People can stop trying to get me to watch whatever fucking movie has made. It's never going to happen. Turner or Hooch, part of the reason for that. Thank you.
Marley and Me,
Never
Buddy.
saw it.
That's just because
Not a
got one of
chance,
the
Dave. Are
Wilson
you
brothers in
fucking
it.
kidding me, Dave? Not a fucking chance.
Jamie, that's just because it's got Owen Wilson in it, right? You just refuse to
No.
watch it because of that.
I like Owen Wilson, and I like his brother, but I like Luke better. But
So do I.
no, it's because I know what's going to fucking happen to Marley.
ever. All right. Well, the Turner and Hooch selection was me. So I'll give a quick synopsis of this movie. And it's a very simple
I was
synopsis.
about to say, if you have to give a synopsis that's over like two sentences.
Very happy how this turned out. That means I was stepbrothers.
Yeah, boats and hose.
Wow.
Let's go. Let's go. Boats and hose.
Wow. Boats and hose.
Yeah.
Boats and hose.
So the movie we watched is The Strangers. The synopsis for this movie is that you have a couple who is going through some relationship turmoil. They return to his parents' secluded house. It's not really a cabin, it's a house, but it's out in the sticks. And there is a strange knock on the door at 4:00 in the morning, and shenanigans ensue.
Yep.
That's it, isn't it?
I just want to say, though, before we even get into it, and I know we'll touch it, but because it was in your description, it's implied they go to like a summer house but there's like neighbor, like, I don't know, those kids walk right fucking by it, like on their way home. Like, it's not like it's in the middle of like, I forgot about how much it looks like it's just in rural suburb. Like, it just looks like it's a street. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a rural community.
I know. Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, I know you don't see, there's no one to run to right to their set, but it like, to me, it feels like a house in my childhood neighborhood. Like, I just look at it, I'm just like, that's not in the middle of no, I don't know, but fine. Okay, let's go.
I would say it's pretty similar to the house that the Airbnb we stayed at in the Smokies. It's probably
okay, which is not
density.
totally,
You could walk to another house for sure.
You could walk to another, but I get that. Okay, yeah, let's say that.
So we're going to let you, Jamie, start us off this evening. Did you see this in theaters? What's been your experience with The Strangers?
I didn't see it in theaters. Maybe it just didn't look interesting to me. Doesn't really matter. I can't remember. And was 2008. I cannot tell you why I didn't see this in theaters. I saw it though, definitely the way you should see it. Like, I saw it at home, quiet, lights off,
maximum creepy.
The way you should watch, I guess, a home invasion movie. And the way, when I say that, I mean the way you should watch it if you want it to really stick with you in a way.
Yeah.
My memory of this movie. Now, this is not a movie. Before I say it, like, this is not a movie I rewatch often, if not at all. I can't tell you the amount of time. I know I watched it, and I'll watch like any horror movie in the background if it's on TV. So I'm sure I have had this on without a doubt. Mm-hmm. But sat down and like watched this movie, I couldn't tell you the last time I like actually did that, which is like why I really needed to do it, to talk about it, because like I know the premise. If we've seen it, the premise. It's very simple, like Dave just said. That But like, as far as specifics, I couldn't even remember the deal. I didn't know if the couple was married. Like, I know that's dumb shit, but like, besides knowing that like Dennis from It's Always Sunny is in it for about 5 seconds and that there's this couple, I like could not remember the details of the movie. We all at this point know The Strangers. We all know the masks. We all know like the point of this movie because it's been around. It's spawned spinoffs. But so I haven't really watched it a lot again. But part of it, I think, was for a while. This movie, which I find funny, but I don't mean funny, you know what I mean, is one of the very few movies that upset me. And I don't get upset.
Like,
and I mean like, and I don't,
and
I don't mean to sound at all like holier than thou. But we watch a lot of fucked up shit. But I guess the point is that it's like fucked up shit and it's like it's either so extreme. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
When I first watched this, I was like upset afterwards. And I was just like, I don't know. It just, and when I would tell stories about things, I would never call it a movie like disturbing. I would just say, when people say like, what movie like impacted you? I was like, what's funny? What movie of all movies? Like, I just remember the first time I watched it, what upset me, The Strangers. Have I watched it again? Not really, to see how it impacts me. So I did. I don't think it impacts me the way it did the first time. Mm-hmm. I also was distracted. Not that I wasn't watching it, but when you have to watch something, you're like pausing because you have to handle this or do this, and you do it. Like, this was not the same way I watched it the first time.
Right.
I was not locked lights in one continuous. And it is not a long movie, which is great. Like but I just like, had to keep disengaging and then reset, whatever. So maybe that's the reason. The movie's fine. I know you said you love it, and I know like we'll talk about it. Like, I don't hate it. It's definitely not a favorite or anything that like I rewatch, obviously. part of it might have been I thought it would like upset me, but I don't like. I also think things only upset me like the first time, unless an animal dies multiple times in a movie. But like the first time it did. Now I know what happens. It's just like but it's a fine movie. We'll talk about it. I know it's again even watching it now and like revisiting it. I don't think I'll put it on anytime super recent again. Home Invasion isn't like my favorite. And I think it's like, in a way, maybe to the upsetness, maybe I do have it. Maybe I'm not completely cold and dead inside or like have them, but like, it's not fun. It's just mean, which is funny. Cause Dave, I know you and I have had conversations like that or about like Terrifier being mean spirited, or I'm just using examples off the top of my head or things with abuse against her. But like, there's nothing fun about The Strangers. It's fucking awful and mean and like realistic, which we will talk about, and it could happen to anybody, and that's the whole thing, whatever. But like, I have no fun watching The Strangers. And as much as I'm a person who sometimes likes movies that like have a bleak ending or have a whatever, I don't know. There's nothing in this movie where, at least for parts of it, like The Descent. We've talked before about The Descent with the depressing ending is the way to go, and like it breaks, whatever. But like, I don't know. This movie just overall is just bleak and whatever and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, why am I going to put this on like when I could put on something like Evil Dead or Terrifier or whatever, and like at least have fun in my moments of, because you would think like I love people being terrorized. I have no problem with that. But there's like something here that I'm just like, watching these poor people just be traumatized for no reason is like,
yeah, it doesn't work in this one.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't not work. It's the movie works, but not for replay value for me. I guess that's where
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, Eli. What about you? Did you see this in theaters?
I did. When this movie came out, it's based off the Ketty Cabin murders, which young true crime Eli. This is one of the craziest unsolved and I love murders that happened. It was based on this. I was real excited to see it. I was finishing up my senior year of high school. And opening night, I was like, I'm driving to the next town because we have a theater in our town. I'm going to watch this. Your boy got asked out on a date.
Hey, attaboy.
I was like, man, I really want to see this. And I thought, you know what? I'll make this the date. Scary movie. So your boy nervously in the car, talking about the movie a little bit. Didn't want to say all the things I knew about the Ketty Cabin murder. So I also looked like a murderer. Get to the theater. But we were running late because the girl was late coming to the house. And I'm like, I got to get there to get a good seat. I'd like to see the trailers maybe, but like, I'm like rushing. Like, do you want a snack? I'll use the rest of I want nachos and cheese. Okay. Run up to the thing real quick. I was like, nachos and cheese. The guy was like, hey, I just melted this one. Like, it's real hot, so be careful. Fine, no worries. I swear to God, this girl's in the bathroom for like 20 years.
I'll just say it right now, Eli. Anybody who gets theater cheese and nachos, they're not the one. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well.
Sorry. Wait. Go backwards. What?
I don't know if I agree with that statement. Yeah, I love theater cheese, but so like we're going to theater.
I'm not eating plastic.
We missed the trailers, and like the movie was like the opening studio production stuff was coming on the screen. So I'm like, oh, let's just go sit in the back. Go sit in the back. But your boy was walking backwards up the steps so I could watch the screen. What I didn't know was that one of the chairs had broken and fell into the stair aisle.
Uh-oh.
It was dark in there. My date did not notice as she was on like the other side of the stairs. I step backwards, step on the stair, which then slides down the other stairs, and I fall back and sling scalding hot nacho cheese up my arm. I'm not proud of this, but I screamed because I was falling.
I cried a little
and burning. And like when I screamed, people kind of like panicked and they stopped the thing.
Oh my God.
Because like at that time, like sometimes they would have employees in this theater like watch the first like 2 minutes to make sure everybody was settled. Lights come on. I'm sprawled out on the stairs trying to wipe this scalding hot nacho cheese off my arm.
As it fuses with your flesh.
As it fuses my flesh. Like they see me. they didn't seem to care. Then like I hear laughing, I turn and look. Some of my friends were also there and watched this, thought it was the funniest thing. And then the theater, when I was like, my date wanted nachos, and they're like, yeah, they're like, you can go out and buy a new one. And I was like, I tripped over this. They're like, yeah, but like you should have been watching where you're going. And so then I had to buy 2 nachos and cheeses. Only one.
You see, nothing good comes from theater nachos.
I'll still risk it.
Fucking theater. Yeah, I don't know. Dave is in the minority. I do not agree with him. I will literally sometimes bring my own popcorn, not for reasons of trying to be cheap. I don't like movie theater popcorn. Side note, but like I don't. It's over the top for me. Like so, I'll make like
too greasy popcorn. Or what?
Yeah, just everything too buttery, too greasy. I just don't like it. But so also, I cannot ignore the fact that when they said it's like equivalent to like 8 Big Macs or something, a fucking movie theater popcorn, a small movie theater popcorn. So anyway, I will bring my own popcorn and still get fucking cheese and like dip my own popcorn into cheese. I don't.
Well, that's weird, but I love the movie. Despite my arm being very painful, I got blisters. I had blisters form.
Why was it so hot?
Because they just like
I've had it just out of the
no that theater didn't use like the bag one. They had a melter and like they would melt the cheese.
They wanted to kill you, is what it sounds like.
And they have this ladle and like they would.
Did they pull it out of a fucking volcano? Like I don't.
They just melted it. Like it was like early Friday night. They just melted it. It didn't have the crusties formed around the rim. But despite my burning arm, me being very angry at my date starting off, which isn't normally a good sign for a date. Love the movie. I love Liv Tyler.
I know that.
Loved her. I like it a lot. It's super duper kind of based off Kitty Cat Murders, but like that didn't even bother me. Like I like the movie a lot. It is a very dark movie. It is a very dark movie. Which I think also makes it scary. And also like, yeah, like they were kind of neighborhood, but like you tell it's kind of more like a kind of like a rural neighborhood. And like as someone who grew up in some of the like there's farther apart houses, but like grew up in kind of like those areas of being a friend's house, like that would be terrifying. Because like you could get to a house, there ain't no guarantee anybody's gonna be there. So like it was a terror. Like I like The Strangers a lot, and I will say the first one struck lightning that the other ones have not been able to.
No, that this movie it also doesn't warrant sequels for what it is. Like
for sure,
it's not something that has like a slasher or it doesn't warrant remakes or sequels. It should have just existed in its world.
Like this is one of those movies of like it's a single like, oh, do you want to see how scary people can be?
Yeah.
But like it was really good. I like the acting. I like the design. Like I like this movie a lot.
Cool.
Even though it gave me blisters.
You have PTSD attached to it.
You know what though? I still get nachos and cheese at the theaters. I literally when I went and saw
that's
Terrifier,
your fault. I went and saw
Terrifier 3. Well, now though, where I live
so
now,
did I, Eli, with Terrifier 3.
They do the cups, like they kind of they put them in the warmer.
Yeah, they put them. It's a little.
So then,
cup
like
in the,
you get to your seat, and then you pull the seal off, and then you're good. So like,
well, that makes sense. The kind of people that would like Terrifier probably also do like theater nachos.
Dude, why do you hate me tonight? I'm so confused.
Listen, Jamie, he's just jealous.
Why is he coming at me? Is it
he's just jealous because your boy Eli was happily walking to Terrifier 3, turning down my puke bag, which they kept offering me, with my bag of nerd gummy clusters, my nachos and cheese, and my orange soda.
And I was at home with my face hugger popcorn bucket.
You know what, you son of a bitch.
Filled with gummy nerds.
How dare you? How dare you?
Not watching Terrifier.
Well, sorry that
you missed out.
Don't have a good taste.
That's what I understand. If part of the experience is the decision to get a puke bag, then
that's for lamos though.
Listen, I legit when they handed it to me, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a Terrifier one. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then branded. Yeah, it's dumb.
And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this is just
it's like an airline bag.
Like they do have a branded one though.
Bag. I was like, I don't want this. And the guy was like, are you sure? And I'm like,
my God.
My dude,
so
nachos and nerd gummy clusters.
I'm good.
None of that's coming up.
Yeah, I'm good. I didn't
By
even
the
get
way,
offered.
I have dealt with dead bodies professionally. I'm not going to puke on
I'm not going to throw up over a movie.
Can't show me anything that's going to scare these gums.
Even if it was smell-o-vision, it would not bother me.
84 million. 84 million.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm not taking anything away
Isn't
from
that insane?
It's pretty awesome.
That fucking insane? Holy shit. I just had to say that because it was like finally run its theatrical, like fucking insane, man. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not taking any of that away.
I know.
Just as you know, it's not my.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Vomit.
But I cannot go past without saying 84 million on a $2 million. Like I can't. I really can't even. It's insane. Anyway.
Yeah, I will celebrate their success for doing what they've done with everybody because it is a legit grindhouse movie that's gone mainstream, and that's pretty cool. Anyway, back to The Strangers. So, as I said at the top, this is my block of movies. This is one that I had selected. This is one that I had switched. This is the one movie that I had switched out late, and I switched it out after, and I forget which movie review it was, but Jamie and I started talking about The Strangers as being one of those very based in reality. Like it seemed like it was something that not only could happen, but has happened. I mean, that's the disturbing part of it. There's nothing about this movie that hasn't actually happened to people, which is terrible. I mean, Eli just mentioned it in the Wicked Whispers that this is happening somewhere right now, probably, which freaks you out to think about, that there are just awful things happening all the time. And these are the kinds of awful things that happen. Do they always have masks? No, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, and I didn't see this in theater. I'm with Jamie, and I don't even know why I didn't see it in theaters other than, and I think I've mentioned this before, this was right before my second child was being born. I had a young kid at home. I didn't have any free time. I didn't have time to go watch movies at the theater. And this is certainly not the kind of thing my wife and I were going to cuddle up on the couch and watch. She doesn't like horror movies to start with. And this kind of horror movie is a non-starter for me, so. But when I did see it, I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised by it because it did get, and I don't know if y'all remember, it did get sort of that cult buzz. Like after it was in theaters, everybody was talking about this movie that was disturbing because it was ultra real. And oh my God, this did happen somewhere. And it's actually not to the Blair Witch level, but it did have sort of this groundswell around it of people talking about that this was based on real events that happened in Europe. So it had this mystique.
It happened in U.S.
Okay. Well, there was a German home invasion that people were referencing to in this, but it is on the short list of movies that immediately got under my skin. Like it did not take long for this movie in my first experience to really upset me. Like being an empathetic person and being somebody who, I guess the best way to say it is who's just paranoid and convinced that there are awful people around me all the time. This movie upset me. Like it got under my skin. It feels much more real than a lot of slashers or home invasion movies are supposed to. I love the constant handheld camera. I think that was the part that I realized in later watchings. And I watch this about once a year now, but the entire movie is moving. Like literally, because it's all handheld and steady cam. There's no locked in shots. There's no dolly shots. It feels very shot from the hip, which I think was something obviously the director was going for, but it makes the whole movie feel very voyeuristic. Like you are watching events happen from that space. You're not like locked into a beautiful frame. That being said, the style and look and design of this movie is fantastic. Like it's one of my favorite visual movies just because the style of the movie and the soundscape, and it just all works for me. It feels very 70s. It feels very out of time even. And I think a movie like It Follows, I don't know if you remember the look and feel of It Follows. It was very outside of time as well, but it was very stylized. But the one thing that I always forget is that first 30-second like newsreel.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
And that takes me straight to the fourth kind of thing. It's it is so indulgent. And I wish they would just cut it out just because it doesn't add anything. It makes me roll my eyes. Because even in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was one of the first times that I ever did that, it was only like 10 seconds. This is like this 3-paragraph Star Wars kind of opener that really, it affects me now. It bugs me. But once it gets to showing the shots of the houses and the different styles, did y'all notice that the houses that he chose to do the drive-by, they were all house designs that represented classic horror movies? Like there was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, there was the Nightmare on Elm Street house, there was the Halloween house. Like literally, it wasn't the house that was in the movie, but it was the same architectural house as all of those things, which I thought was a really cool nod. To your point, Eli, Liv Tyler is really good at emoting in this movie. Her expression of tension in this movie is what sells it for me. Like her constant reaction to what's going on and her panic and her stress. She is a very emotive person as an actor anyway, but in this role, it's hugely effective. This is probably my favorite role of hers outside of Lord of the Rings. Like, other than her as an elf, this is my favorite role that she's ever done. You're muted, brother. I know you're.
Yeah.
I said, I love you, Dave. I love you so much. Literally, those were my thoughts in my own brain, and you spoke them.
Well, it's true. I mean, she is an elf. I mean, I can't see her as anything else. She is certainly an elf, but this is a great role for her face and her big eyes and her reactive.
You don't see crackers going down her belly or whatever the fuck.
No, I do not. Especially when I think of Ben Affleck doing that. Now I just get the creeps when I think about that. Because we're not even going to go there. I was just going to go down a rabbit hole that was not worth going down.
No.
There are several things the villains do that strain belief. I get that. I'll own up to the fact that they get away with a lot of very theatrical crap as three people who are like acting as ghosts, like they're here and then they're not here and then they're on the other side of the house immediately. I get all of that. But the things that he's doing, while they are convenient at times, I'm also fully willing to accept them as part of the experience the director is giving me. The movie is all psychology, which again, that's the reason this is my headspace selection for my block of movies. Like there's very little violence that actually happens. There's implied violence. There's threat of violence. Other than the friend's death and the ending, there's very little that happens in this movie other than a constant state of tension. But I always respect a filmmaker, especially a filmmaker early in their career, that pulls that off, like keeps it ratcheted without annoying the audience or releasing it too quickly or too cheaply, like with having a cat jump out or something like that, some cheap jump scare. There are jump scares in this, but none of them felt cheap. Like they were all earned, like they were the sounds that were happening and all of that. I know I'm getting long-winded, but that's the reason I picked it. I'm never bored with this one. I don't watch it terribly often, but like I said, I do watch it once a year or so because just the style of this movie, there's not a lot like it. And I absolutely agree with what y'all were saying. Pray at Night and the remake are Hollywood movies. This is something different. This is not a Hollywood movie. And that's what I liked about it. And as you've seen, we talked about it with the Autopsy of Jane Doe, and in the last movie we're going to watch next time, you're going to recognize that Dave gravitates towards the non-Hollywood formula horror movies, like things that are a little more indie, a little more rough around the edges. So anyway, that's my overall thoughts. I will kick us off with questions and then I'll hand off to y'all. But the first question that I had is what is your opinion on this movie as a horror? Like, is this a horror movie to you? That's the 100%. Age-old conversation.
I mean, it's a thriller horror. Yeah. I mean, it's terrorism. It's real life horror. Let's admit that. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if it's something horrific, let's use that definition.
One of the most frightening things that could actually happen.
Are we going to get into the whole but it's like not a slasher versus a
right.
You know what I mean? It's still horror. It falls in. I have no problem. This is 100% in the horror genre. Like, I mean, it just because it's more real. If then first of all, they're in masks, but let's pretend they were dressed as clowns or painted as or they were the masks of your next. I'm sorry, I almost messed up the name of the movie, but like that's horror, right? We put that in the horror. I mean, it's made by a horror director with other horror, but no, it's without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I would even argue like one of the reasons I like this so much because I also like gory and stuff like that, but I also like when they can make a movie that is scary. And that gets you in that like where that tension's building up in you and you're like, oh my God, and you're very concerned about Liv Tyler like I was. But like you don't see a lot of blood or even necessarily like a lot of like what I call hard violence. Like they did with this, I would argue, kind of what Carpenter did with the original cut of Halloween, which was you were more afraid of when are they showing up again, like the two characters you're following, more so than when something happens, because like that was like the whole thing with Michael, right? Like Lori looks out her window and he's staring at her behind a bush, or like when you see him like driving real slowly in the background, and like that's what this did, and like that for people that argued like, man, there's not a lot of it. They're like, no, shut up, like. When you're seeing that theater and like you're watching this and like it's building the tension, and then you inevitably have the thoughts of I should look out my window. Yeah, exactly. Or like you're in the theater, like I'm gonna look down the aisle and just make sure that chair's not coming back, like or whatever. Like that is horror. It's getting you in that mindset. Of like, oh, I'm terrified, or like because I even remember like when I left the theater seeing this, I was speed walking in my car. I was like, just want to get in and lock my door.
I got up and made sure the doors were locked when it's like and I was in an apartment building, and not that I can't, you know what I'm trying to say, but like,
the funny thing is, and I have a distinct memory of this, I don't know if it's the first time, but it was one of my early watches of this movie. I was home alone in the dark, like you're supposed to watch this movie. And I started to get anxious and annoyed that my windows were open. And so I got up and closed the windows, and then I realized I was more upset now that the curtains were pulled, because now I know there's somebody standing behind them looking or about to tap on the window. And I thought that was extremely interesting and effective. I'm going to shut these. Oh crap, that's worse.
Now you can't see. Yeah, now you don't know.
I still to this day, because like Mary gets frustrates me sometimes because I'm one of the people that like I'll check to make sure our door's locked 100 times a day, and like it doesn't matter if it's 2:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, the sun's shining, it's the birds are singing, and like if she leaves the door open, I'll just absentmindedly, not even think about it, I go shut and lock the door,
check it,
and then she'll be like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Have you seen the strangers?"
See, I have the opposite problem. I am known for just leaving shit open, unlocked, whatever. Like it's just call it way too naive or trusting. And it's not that I like people. We all know that, but it's like, I don't know. Like I grew up in a fairly safe place, at least in the time, you know what I mean? I don't know. And I'm just like, it's still ingrained in me that like, just whatever. Did I lock it? I don't know. Literally right now, my apartment door may or may not be, it's anybody's guess if my apartment door is locked right now. Actually, it's locked.
Hey, good job.
And it's more concerned, like my dogs. What if someone opens the door and one of them runs out or something? Yeah. Like, I don't know. But
it's funny.
I don't know. It's this weird thing.
Yeah. It's funny. It's been an area of conversation and argument in our marriage, because literally my wife, to your point, Eli, she is the locker of all things all the time. Like literally to the point that I'll leave the house to go to the mailbox to get the mail and come back and the door will be locked.
Oh,
and we've had the conversation, and after 29 years, I just have to accept I've lost that battle. So I just carry a key with me everywhere, because the door's going to be locked when
it's going to be locked when you come back. I like I said, I grew up in a pretty safe neighborhood where we came and went, left the door open. Like I literally, like I know it's not whatever. I would run to the store, door was still unlocked. Like it's not something you would ever. I get it, okay, but like come on, growing up in the 80s, 90s, whatever. But like. When I guess when I got out of the house, I'm trying to think of when it would happen. Like I came home one day, like home, but like to my parents, and I went and the door was locked. And I go, what the fuck? Like I expected to just walk in again. And then like it happened again. And I was like, why are we now locking the door? And whatever, things evolve, people, whatever. My parents are by themselves. They start, but I was just like, when did we start doing this? Because I don't have keys on me at all times. And I'm like trying to come into your house unannounced.
What do you know that I don't know? Yeah.
Mary has gotten frustrated with me as like if it's like I said, Saturday, 2:00, I'm going to mow the yard. Not anything, I make sure the front door is locked. I'll go out the garage and then shut the garage door behind me because I have a keypad on my garage.
Yeah, a lot of people do it that way because keypads and you're like,
And then she'll be like, what happens if you cut your leg off or something? And I'm like, I have my phone. I'll be fine. But no one will get in the house. So you're welcome.
The fortress will be fortified.
Yeah. Or she'll like walk around, she'll be opening windows, spreading curtains, and like I'll just like, and then she'll like go to another room and I'll walk up like, why are all these fucking windows and curtains open? And I'm like shutting, locking windows, like closing curtains.
Have you lost your damn mind?
Yeah, like you don't know anybody come in there. So like this window's on a second floor. How they get up there? Ladder, rope. I don't know.
So this movie doesn't help with that, does it, Eli?
No.
What's up?
This movie does not help with that.
No, this movie just reinforces the notion of this is why we lock everything.
I think it helps in this thing. Again, the childhood living somewhere safe. And then like all my years in Manhattan, which I don't want to hear anybody saying about unsafe Manhattan. I'm just saying all my years in Manhattan and even where I live right now, like I've always been up. Like people can't get in my windows. Like Manhattan, it was the top floor. Here it's the top floor, though it's much shorter. But like I've always been up. Like unless it's a vampire drifting to my window or something, I'm pretty much, at least in that aspect, the windows have never been a concern to me. Open them all up. I don't like, you know what I mean? Things like that. The door, it's also a different thing because you're like, I'm not saying I'm any safer, but like I'm not right outside. You have to get through 2 doors downstairs. You have to get on an elevator. You have to get upstairs. Like you have to get up here to get.
And then they got to get past your guard dogs.
Yeah, my little, yeah. But anyway, it's a different, but not that this movie doesn't impact me. I don't get it, but it's just like, it's even in my dated. So that night I started locking everything real quick, but it hasn't stuck into my habits enough for me to like. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons this movie, I like it so much and it affected me so much is because I didn't know that I didn't need the reminder that there are people out there that don't need a reason to be awful.
Yeah.
But I got one anyway. Like the whole premise of this movie, the big twist at the end, the question you're asking the whole time as a Hollywood movie reviewer or a Hollywood horror movie consumer, there's always a reason, there's always the rules, there's always the motive, all of that stuff. And then here's a movie that comes along and Liv literally asks them, why are you doing this to us? And the whole answer is because you were home. Mm-hmm. And I don't need to be reminded of that. I don't need to be reminded that that's all the reason that needs.
Yeah. Did you people listen to the Wicked Whispers? Like, there's no rhyme or reason to anything.
It is, that is one I guess I feel confident saying this because in the context, I think that's one of my favorite lines in a horror movie. Just because it's so simple and it's so and it's just literally the whole premise of the whole movie. And again, you're sitting there and you're going, oh, fuck, I'm home right now. Fuck.
Yeah. Like, and those people are out there.
And those people do exist. And who's to say they're not just going to stumble upon my building, my apartment, my house, my whatever. And vacation, anything, people. I'm not even talking about like wherever you are. There's nothing saying that these people can't just stumble upon your.
Which is another thing I think was a really smart decision when they wrote this, because like if you like that is so. And I think some people they're like, oh, well, everybody's got a reason. Well, like no, like if you look at like
have a reason?
If you look at like real like true crime story, like some serial killers, like Ted Bundy, why did you pick her? And he was like, oh, she helped me put my groceries in the car.
She looked at me. Yeah.
And you're like, what? Like, that's it? Oh, yeah. She helped me put my groceries in the car. And you're like, oh, okay. So she had it. Like, oh, okay. So like, it's like, that is more like, I think everybody expects like this, like, and I think maybe that's sometimes too, is like with that, like when you find out the reason, which is so realistic. But I think the people that argue that this isn't horror are the people that are looking like for some grand
formula,
like something, Hannibal Lecter or something. When like in reality, like those motivations are very far and few between. Like not everything's Son of Sam or like, oh, the dog told me, like whatever. Sometimes like they just do it because you were there, and like that is terrifying.
Yeah, and they just decided they were going to do something, and it didn't matter who they did it to.
Yeah,
and the fact that like we have these masks, these stupid masks that don't really connect or whatever. But
one that was presented in Camp Wicked Wild, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as a matter of fact. And please, now I'm going to start laughing thinking of them. But
never a hairier pinup has been shown on video. We've lost Jamie, folks.
Yeah, but not only to have the mask, But I like it's so I don't know if clever is the word, but I think like that when you still don't see them when they take off the mask. Like these people are faceless because again, not only can this happen to anybody, this could be anybody. This could like, there's no, again, because you're at home, they don't know anybody. They don't know this couple. They have no vendetta against this couple. There's no mask reveal. And they're like, oh, fuck, it's my cousin Sam. Like there's there is no reveal because they take off their masks and you don't see it. So like, yeah, it's the fact that it can happen to anyone, with anyone, anywhere, by anyone, and that's it.
And you know that brings up in my second question, and then I'll let you all ask a question. But since we're talking about this, I want to go ahead and get it out there. But do you think this is the stranger's first set of victims?
Oh no.
Well,
because she says at the end,
exactly. She says it's going to get easier. Yeah. She does. And so as I'm watching the movie, you know, I'm thinking serial killers, this is what they do. Because again, there's no reason. So they have like, not to rationalize psychopaths or whatever, but like you got to assume like they're into I don't know how they found each other, whether they're family, friends, whatever, but like this is like what they do. They're serial killers, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But then there's that line at the end that I forgot about where she does, but maybe one of them's new. That's the other thing I was wondering. I didn't remember which girl said it, but then I was like, oh, maybe they're like inducted, like maybe the brunette is new or whatever, or the blonde or whatever. Yeah. But like, that's the only other thing I came to. Because the Mormon boys ask
her if she's a sinner, and that's the blonde.
Yes, that's the blonde.
And she says sometimes, and then she gets back in the car. So I was assuming it was the brunette that was telling the blonde, next time it'll be easier.
It'll be easier. It can, so it could go either, like, the whole time I'm thinking they definitely do this. Like, they do this.
Yeah.
But then there's that
when she says that, I'm like, how is this not easy? Like, you totally, like...
Yeah, you eviscerate, like, there was no problem here.
You were untouched.
For them. Yeah, for them.
I just assumed that they meant like this way because like
they're this way.
Yeah, like going to either like at this house, like terrorizing these people through the night and doing it like this style. Because like there was a synchronicity between some of them where I'm like, there's no way like this is just that'd be like us.
Yeah, they acted as one organism.
Yeah, like that'd be like us three being like, hey, we're gonna create our own NFL team, and then like go out, win our first game, just the three of us, just, you know, like that's not how, like, it's just, that's not how it works. Like, I think it was like, what, and I'm sure they said that because like that subsequence then like terrorizing homes or whatever, but like, I think it was terms of like how they did it that time. Because like they went to this house and they terrorized through the night. I'm sure they've killed before. Because like I said, that synchronicity was just too, especially between the guy with the Jason like mask, Sackhead, and then the who I'm now going to start calling Dave.
There you go.
Yeah, because like they were moving in a tandem and
they wouldn't talk. They knew what the other person was going to do. Yeah.
Well, we don't know that they're not whispering though outside.
Exactly. Or maybe they have walkies. Maybe they have.
Yeah, we don't know what they're doing outside. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Because she says it's. Well, I was about to ask a question because I don't. If I even have seen, I don't at all remember. Like, do the sequels imply that it's the exact same three people, or just okay? So like,
well, like the Pray at Night doesn't.
Like, is there a brunette, a blonde, and a man? Because that's. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, but like it doesn't. Like they don't even connect it to the other one, and then like the new ones, which like new trilogy, the first one's just out right now. That is such a sack of horse shit.
Yeah, I was.
Wait, are there only two old ones? There's only like Pray at Night, which came out way later than the first one. Oh, so then I have. Okay, I don't know if I've seen all of Pray at Night, but I've seen a decent amount of it.
Pray at Night, like it wasn't bad, but it shouldn't have been a Strangers.
Liked it, I think.
Yeah, I liked it.
It should have been
for
a
totally different reason.
Yeah, we've had that conversation. Totally you take something out of, you take it out of.
But then they're doing this trilogy now, and the first one came out, and like that one, it was such a sack of horse shit.
Yeah, I don't know that the trilogy is going to happen at this point.
For the love of all that's holy, I hope not. But they're still going through with another Exorcist one, so like, you know,
the remake is much more of a wrong turn style movie. Yeah, it is not a Strangers movie.
Oh, all right, well, we have enough of those, though. We have enough of those.
Exactly, it's very rote. So,
oh my god,
where like this one was just like, I really wish they would just left this one, just leave it.
Yeah.
Don't sequel. Don't, like this was such a good, like
this and The Descent did not need to be carried on.
Did not need to carry through at all. That's it.
Because especially because like they raised like the like it's almost like I said, like I said lightning strike for another thing, but it's the same thing. Like it is not easy to make a movie where I would say a good portion of the fear comes from the tension of realizing what's happening and realizing this could happen, and then getting to that end point and there's no release. Like it's just like they leave you at it. That's such a hard thing to do correctly, and then for a couple years later to be like, hey, you want to see a wackier version?
Well, I was about to say, there's a lot of these movies, whether you love them or not, where the first one is a different movie. And we could say The Purge does that. Final Destination even, which I love the later Final Destinations because they're so fucking stupid. But like, it's not the same as the first one even. The first one tries to take itself seriously. I mean, it's a dumb concept. It's not like this where it could really, but like, it still tries to take it seriously. Then they were just like, what if we just went batshit? And that's great. I'm all for that. But I'm saying, like, if you put Final Destination, The Purge movies, this, there was something else that was just up top of my, you know how I feel about Texas Chainsaw's turn from 1 to 2. Like, it's like you take these movies and then all these first ones don't even fit in with the rest of their universe anymore. Like, it's just, they spawn something, but they don't fit there anymore. Yeah. And it's like a weird thing, and it's in horror a lot, I guess, because like, you know, you get.
But I think where like I get frustrated too is like if you would ask, like, I'm about to leave my old man on my porch right now. If you ask them younger kids, like they'll remember Pray at Night, and like they'll remember like this new shit trilogy comes out, and it's like then they go back once that first one, they're like, well, where's all the wacky like driving a car on fire, and and it's like, no, you don't get it, like. This is terrifying. This could happen.
Well, it's a different. And
it's like, damn you, sequels.
Well, I was gonna when Dave asked before if it's like in a horror movie, I would put this, and I still kind of consider the second one in a horror movie, but I would definitely put this before. But like, is Funny Games a horror movie? People consider it a horror movie, but this at least, and I don't mean to. This is helped by masks. I know that's dumb, but I'm just saying this is helped by masks. One. Yeah. A little bit more blood and more blood. Is there blood in Funny Games? Really? Yep. It's all tension. It's all fucking just like making you uncomfortable. But like, so I don't know. People put that in the horror genre, and like, because again, it's horrific. It's terrorizing someone. It's terrorizing a family.
What does Eli say?
Lots of things.
90% of people may disagree with me that Funny Games is like low bar horror. And
is that where you put? Where do you put Funny Games? I'm asking.
That to me, Funny Games is like kind of low bar. Like
it's like thriller. It's a thriller, but psychological thriller. Thank you. Yeah.
Premise. I see what they were going for, but like it's just whatever. And then you get the end, they break fourth wall, and I'm like, am I fucking watching Deadpool? I mean, what is this?
Anyway,
So what are your else questions?
Yes. Well, I'm dying to bring up because this movie has, and because we talked about this in another.
You go first, Jamie. I'll let you go first.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I was just anxious.
No. I
didn't mean to do that.
No, you didn't do anything.
It has my least favorite horror trope in it. And does anybody, because I think I brought it up before, and it is, Dave maybe knows, I don't know. But let's go back to Dennis from It's Always Sunny for a second. Dave shaking his head. The fucking misunderstanding kill is my least favorite horror trope. Now,
especially when you know immediately it's going to happen.
Exactly. It takes way too long for this to happen. Now, not only that, maybe I would take it if he didn't do everything wrong in this situation, because it would not have happened if he yelled hello. He only says it all the way outside the house. If he shut the fucking record off, if he like a record's just, it looks like a home invasion. Now, if you're going to risk yourself already and go in there, that's on you, buddy. But if you're going to do that, you turn the music off so you could hear what's going on. You scream for your friends. I don't even care if it's like, if you're thinking like, oh, like you're not thinking in that moment. Like if I see my friend's house, I just start screaming their name. I'm be like, Eli, Dave, oh my God. Like, cause you're fucking frantic. You're not in this calm, collective, let me sneak through this house. It is, we've had this conversation before, even as early as like kind of Jane Doe, but not Jane Doe. We had it in another one because like, oh, even the end of You're Next, where like the misunderstanding, but it's not the death, but it was kind of, I hate in a horror movie when a friend like kills a friend or something. Like, because like now you're like, it doesn't even serve the purpose of the plot. This man has to live with this, except that he doesn't have to live with it because whatever. But like, it irks me so much because like, couldn't the other people just take him out? Like, I don't know. Like, and everything he does is wrong. Everything he does is wrong. Maybe if they accidentally killed him, but he did things right, I would have been more like, I would have been more accepting of it. If they're just idiots, if they just saw him and they were, but it's more I'm sitting there going, say fucking hello, yell their names, turn off the record.
It does feel contrived.
I hate that in a horror, and it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like in a movie that we're all saying feels so realistic. And I know someone's about to tell me like, well, realistically, you're waiting, you're anxious. I get that. But like, the idiot didn't fucking say anything.
Well, let's have Dave's dad moment for a minute. The right thing to do in that situation, in my estimation, is
for which person?
For Mike. You pull up. Dennis, your friends called you to come pick him up.
Yes.
Because things have fallen out. Obviously, you know what happened because you were at the wedding too. You know that they're on the.
I think he helped set up the engagement too. I mean, he helped set up the roses. They say it earlier. Like he knows.
So you show up at his house. His car's bashed in. Yeah. The door has been axed open. Everything's trashed. The thing you do is you go back to your car, sit in it, pull out your cell phone, call the cops.
Yeah.
Then you call your friend. If he doesn't answer, then you honk the horn. If he still doesn't come, you wait till the cops get there. Mm-hmm. Like that's it's just, in my estimation, that's the proper.
No, you're absolutely right. But let's say you do go in, Dave. Then do you shut off the music and call your friend's name and fucking at least make noise so that they?
No, I'm going to creep through. And I'm going to jump into door frames. That's what I'm going to jump into door frames. Yeah.
Say, I don't know. Like, now I wouldn't jump in the door frame, but like, I am normally with you, Jamie. I normally hate it. Like this one, like. It was fine. It didn't offend me, but like, because like I think when I think about like now, obviously I've never been in this situation, but like I've been in a situation where I'm like, I think maybe something's weird or like it's uncomfortable, and then like I do that slow, like I go back to my old hunting walk where I'm going heel toe really quietly, like what the fuck am I walking into? And like I'm doing like what's happening. So like.
You're hunting wabbits? Is that what you're saying?
I'm hunting wabbits. I'm like, what am I getting into? And I'm like walking real slow and quiet. Now, am I saying execution that with what they did is great? No, it's a hard thing to pull off. But like, I don't think it was as offensive as other movies.
I do. Yeah. But wait, wouldn't it have been just as maybe not as impactful because now he shot his friend. But there's no payoff to that really because we don't even have time to sit with this person in this moment. It's a fast movie. Like, sure, it's a short movie, it's like whatever, tight, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so there's no moment to sit with that or anything. So that there's no reason there. Couldn't it have been just as impactful if like, or more impactful in a way if like your moment of salvation and then they did axe him to the back and then like, you still, you know what I mean? Then you shoot the gun and the guy runs away. And it's like, it's like, whatever. But it's like a different, I don't know, like, oh, you think salvation is here, he gets killed. I don't know. It's like, both of them can work and one doesn't make me as angry.
And the fact that Sackhead is behind him the whole time with the axe, like he knows the friend's going to shoot him. So he's just waiting patiently for it to happen. I'm like, come on.
It's his shield or whatever. It's like his meat shield. He sent it in first or whatever. But then he doesn't even do anything.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Let's see how this plays out.
Because there's no way he'll turn around and I'm only 5 feet away from him. Anyway,
that scene bothers
agree,
me.
Jamie. Yeah.
And I think maybe I say this sometimes, but maybe I wouldn't pick on it as much if this movie wasn't so grounded in reality. Mm-hmm. I think that moment is just like fucking dumb. And I know people say ground in reality. He's nervous. He's anxious. I kind of get that. He's he doesn't use a gun regularly. He's not a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
he's pushed himself literally into a corner saying, we're not going to die. And the next picture you get is Mike. Waiting. And you're like, oh shit.
We know it's happening for fucking 5 minutes now of this movie because we're just watching him slowly walk through the house. But I guess like, I don't know, that moment just like is like a roll your eye, like, come on, man. Like we could have done anything else here in a way. Like we could have. And like, you wouldn't have lost or gained in the movie. Like this movie didn't even need Mike, really.
If Mike hadn't showed up at all, it would not have affected the movie.
No, not at all. Because the movie's not about him at all.
Minutes away.
Yeah. He's barely there. So yeah.
I think the other thing too, when I watch it, like Sackface is walking behind him. But like I think too, part of it was like I think he like the other thing I think they did it greatly. No, I'll admit that up front. But the way I kind of justify is like, I think they suspected he may have had a gun, and like they were basically like, it was like almost a trap trigger. They were basically using him to trigger the trap.
No, I get it. They know he has the gun though. He shoots them through the door.
Right, but like they think he's. I mean, they think he's set up and they're ready to go, and like he's in a space where like it would presumably be hard for them to breach. So they're like, yeah, we'll let him get it. Like,
I get all that. No, I get all that. I think the movie's choice though to have James, right? Oh God, I'm remembering it. James kill his friend by accident is a dumb choice. That part of it. I don't even care what you do with the killers and him, whatever. Like, I'm just, come on.
Jamie, Liv Tyler's in this movie. There is no dumb choices. Okay.
I don't know Liv Tyler.
Well, and to your point, Jamie, everything else about this movie seems so smart and well crafted and designed. It stands out. It makes that scene stand out. Like, it
does.
This
it's
feels
my only
lazy.
like negative.
Yeah.
Yes, it's and it's like my only like negative because of that reason. It's just like, come on, it's glaring. It's just glaring of like a dumb choice.
All right, Eli.
Eli says no, but you know,
what's your question, brother?
All right, I know another debate with this movie is the ending.
Oh, her?
I actually like this ending. One, because presumably Liv Tyler's still alive, and I love her. Two, but people are like, oh, those like church kids wouldn't. I'm like, no, they would. Like, they're supposed to be like, you know, kids would walk in that. Like, I like how they end this. I mean, I think it also helps with like, because you have that tension, and then like when you think like it's not released, it's kind of like starting to ebb down, and then when those kids start coming in, you're like, oh, and then it leaves you out on this like high. I like how they do the ending for this a lot.
I will tell you what I don't like about it. I don't mind it. But like, I'll tell you why I don't like it. No, I don't. You know, it's so funny. You hate so many people on this show that like I'm not used to you loving someone, and Liv Tyler is the one you choose.
I love. But anyway, I won't apologize.
And Betty Gilpin, Liv Tyler, and Betty Gilpin.
Oh God! I
won't apologize for
anyway. But wait. Like, I don't. Okay, I wouldn't mind the ending if there wasn't that beginning, because back to Dave's fucking crawl of the events, it literally says we don't know what happened here, but then you're giving me an ending where she lives? Question mark. Like, we do know what happened here.
So like, I will say, and like,
am I wrong? Am I misunderstanding? Like, if I being too literal of this, like,
no. What I think they were doing in the beginning is, I think that was their way of kind of, because like the guy came out and he based this off the Kitty Cat murders, but in all realistic, like no one knows what happens that night.
Did anybody live?
One person, but no one, but like it can be argued about really, whatever. That's for the campfire tale.
Okay. But, sorry. I'm like,
but no one really knows what happened that night. It's still not been solved. Even though part of the reason I'm doing campfire tale is the police actually announced there may be something happening with the case after fucking 40 years. And I think that was kind of their nod to the real event, because like the rest of the movie is, I say it's based on it loosely.
Yeah, of course. That's fine.
The concept. But like it's I think that was kind of their nod, which is kind of poopy, because like that is probably with Dave, my real only complaint about the movie is I hate that news scroll. I hate when movies do that. Unless they're doing like some kind of mockumentary thing where it makes sense. There 9 times out of 10 there's no reason for it. And like, I remember like, even when, like the first time I watched it, I went, oh shit. I went, this is going to be like, they're going to do this. And then like, I got 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, no, not. Oh, no, we're not. We're not doing that. And I'm like, what was the point of that newsreel? Cause like, that's what kind of, so like, I don't know. Like I don't even really count the newsreel, when I'm like watching it. Because I'm just like, that's whatever.
I don't need the newsreel to tell me this can happen. It's a realistic movie. Like I don't need a newsreel to tell me. Like, again, exactly. We're in an age, and this even goes for 2008, but even more now. Like, we're in an age where like people, including myself, in the most recent years, like not as much. But we're in an age where people are obsessed with true crime, upset. Like we know this happens. I don't need a news crawl to tell me that this fucking happens. Like it's just like.
Yeah, it's way too, and I said this at the top, it's way too Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's literally almost exactly how they open Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So we've seen it a dozen times before we get there. It's no add to the movie, and there's no payoff to it. I mean, I don't know. If I was editing this movie myself, I would cut that out completely, and I would just open on the going by the houses because I love that ramping up that it could be any of these houses. Like this could happen anywhere. I love that he's doing that with the houses and the subtle nod to horror history, but I don't need the scroll. I just don't.
No.
Like you said, Eli.
I like I said, I legit wonder if like the only reason, because if that was in there, because like if you watch some of the news stories associated with what happened to Kenny Kavner, like it kind of reminded me of that. But like, and like, I don't know if they did that because like, to your point, true crime is popular, but like, this is one of those weird ones where like the actual story kind of goes in and out of popularity. And part of that is because there's not been any resolution. Like there was nothing. Like there was loosely a couple suspects, but like, and then like, it wasn't even something that could be opened back up because, they burned the cabin to the ground. Like the cabin got burned to the ground or whatever. So like it was one of those weird ones where like it would kind of get popular for a minute, but then like it couldn't go nowhere. So it just kind of fall out. So like I don't know if they did that to reference it because like, and especially at this time, like it wasn't a well-known one. Like The Strangers like kind of made it popular the first time, I'd say. Mm-hmm. So like I don't know if like that's why I put it in there, but like they should have.
Well, and I've been going through it. I'm only like 3 episodes in, but on HBO Max, there's a docuseries called Cabin in the Woods because this stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like the remote cabin or rental or vacation home out in the middle of nowhere. This stuff happens. I mean, literally, it's like a prime target opportunity for these kind of people to go out there because they know that you're going to be separated. There's usually especially in modern times, there's less cell service out there than there is in more established areas. So, I mean, that's what creeps me out about this. And somebody who grew up rural and still lives relatively rural. I'm suburban now, but and likes to hike and camp out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Dave strapped.
Yeah. Like it was like, I remember like where I grew up, because like you were an hour and a half from the nearest hospital.
Yeah.
The police couldn't find you half the time. So like it was not uncommon for a lot of people to have something in like every room of their house, their barn, and the bathroom. So like it's one of those things.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting because I did have the question, but then Jamie just said something a minute ago, and I want to circle back to it because it is something I find interesting as far as experience each people have. Do you think Kristen lived?
I do.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay. Well, and
that's why I'm saying the beginning that makes no sense, but.
Yeah. See, I have never thought that she lived.
Really? So what is that? She just screams and that's it?
I think it was like one last because she like you're talking about like
she had multiple stab wounds to the gut, and I've never been gut stabbed or gut shot, but my understanding is that's the most painful, most
way to die,
torturous way to die. But there's really nothing anybody can do once your intestines and guts have been perforated. Even if you get to the hospital, unless you get there quickly, there's not a lot they can do.
I think I never even thought about it that much either. Like I just don't think about it. It's just more of a she's alive in that moment, and that's where I leave it. I guess I'm just like she's alive in that moment, even if it's that moment, and then I don't think about it.
Well, and that's why I wanted to ask the question, is because that's one of the things that's most upsetting about this movie and most realistic about this movie. Like in Hollywood movies, you stab somebody and they fall over and pass out.
Yeah.
In real life, you stab somebody and they're going to be in excruciating pain for the next 3 hours until they die.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what she is. She's
Got it.
Like that, she's in like the final, because like I remember it was I think it was a Civil War documentary, and like they were talking about how like a lot of times someone was shot in the stomach, if they had the morphine, they would just dope them up till they died, and if they didn't, they would drag them away from the tent because they wouldn't have to hear it. And like I remember like talking, and they're like, even in modern times, it's like I think it's it's like you'll be dead in 3 to 6 hours. And I think it's like every 20 minutes from the initial wound to get to the hospital lowers your chance of them being able to fix it. I think by like 30 something percent, or like it's a large percentage. So like I was always, even though it broke my heart, I always assumed like she died.
Yeah, I mean, even if you think about appendicitis, if you don't get appendicitis early, there's not even much they can do about that. And then you think about having like 20 appendicitis at the same time. It's not good.
I don't think about this at all. I'm like, the movie's over.
Oh, yep, that's fair.
I was heartbroken because
I know you were.
Liv Tyler.
She deserved better.
But I'm
pretty sure, I feel like the first time I watched it, I assumed she still died. But like now I was just like, wow, whatever. She is or she isn't. Although the phone call in the beginning would imply she isn't, because they don't say anything about. Although I guess we don't get that far.
Yeah.
But I forgot about the fucking phone call too. Not only do we have a scroll, but we have like the 911 call or whatever.
From the Mormon boys.
Man. Yeah, fucking shit, man.
Which once again, I'll give them credit, because like normally, like it's not too often. Like a lot of times they use those like, those children preachers or whatever, like when they're alluding to like the Mormon like trying around, like it's normally to make fun of them. And like this time they're like, we're not going to make fun of you, but we're going to show you the terrible things that could happen.
We're going to torture you.
Yeah.
You want to know about sinning? Let me show you. Let me show you a little about sinning.
I thought that was hilarious too. Like, here's a couple of boys that at most were 13, 14 years old. I'm saying they're more 10, 11, but whether it's the Mormon church or an analog of the Mormon church, but they are door-to-door evangelists. Like, this is part of their faith. But anyway, 3 strangers who look like these people pull up and get out and get in your face. And the first question you want to ask them is, are you a sinner?
I don't think I wouldn't be very good at that, because I feel like as soon as they like got up and like, you know what, let's just go home. Let's just, you know what, I'm going to pray for forgiveness later. Let's just go home. We're
going to tell everybody that we did all these houses, and we're going to go play Tetris.
The flyers, fucking chuck them in the woods, man. Just throw them in that bush. I don't give a fuck. Throw them at them. Like, let's just go. Let go.
But that's why I wanted to ask the question, because when you said that, Jamie, it literally was not something I'd thought of. I'd always thought of, the torture of that end scene, like the way they do it. Like, it's so matter of fact. It's so antiseptic. It's almost as if the killing was never the point to the strangers. The predatory game was the point. The killing was just when the game's over. Yeah, the sun's already up. It's broad daylight. They know that their time's up. Their playtime is over, so they have to put their toys away. But it literally isn't even they aren't getting any satisfaction out of the killing. The killing's just like the punctuation on
it's just happening.
The good time that they've had.
Yeah.
Which is so upsetting.
It's just done.
Yeah.
We're all done.
That movie. But Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler, though.
Listen, I love Liv Tyler.
I know.
She can do no wrong. And you know what I will say too, which is crazy.
Do I want to remind you again of animal crackers going down her stomach?
Listen, that doesn't stop it. That was not her fault. Okay, that was not her fault.
That was Michael Bay.
That was Michael Bay, and we all know what shit he is. Don't blame Liv Tyler for that. But I will say it was interesting, because if I remember correctly, I think in the same year or the year after, they tried another movie came out. They tried to do the same thing, but in the hotel, Vacancy with Kate Beckinsale.
Isn't she in that also?
No, it was Kate Beckinsale.
Oh,
it used to be the other love of my life.
Yes, I could not.
Until she dated Pete Davidson, and then I lost all respect for her.
I as I was watching this, I was like, was it Liv Tyler in Vacancy? Like, I just sat here, kept saying it. It was
Kate Beckinsale and your boy Luke Wilson.
That I remember.
Like that one, I remember they tried to kind of do the same thing, but there was a lot of And like, I don't mind Vacancy. Like, it's fine.
No, there was weird
But
shit in
like,
that,
it
though.
was a lot more absurd. And like, once again, weird shit happens in hotels. Like, there's horror stories of what's happened to people in hotels. And like, they could have did that, but instead they just made it fucking weird. And like, so like, it did not have the same effect. But like, I remember like when it came out, people were trying to be like, it's like the strangers at a hotel. And I'm like, yeah, maybe if the strangers were shit.
It's almost like putting the Evil Dead in an apartment complex.
Oh my God.
Don't remind us.
Kind of warning.
Kind of. You're not wrong.
Yeah. No, you're right. It is. Yeah. Sometimes the setting is important.
Well, like they could have done it. I think it's just like this guy. I know some people argue like this movie didn't go far enough, but I think it went just far enough. It knew how to hold that line. It's not
a slasher. That's why it doesn't go far. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not a slasher.
It's not trying to be that.
But like, I don't, like that's not what they're trying to be. Like they knew what story they were telling and like what area, like a fear they were trying to show.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, then you have something like Vacancy and like, they could have done the same thing and made that really scary. Instead, they're just like, oh, we're gonna have all this weird shit, like the weird bellhop guy, and blah, blah, blah. And you're like,
it was like a mix of any of those, like not quite wrong turn, but anything where you go to the wrong, you know, the remake of House of Wax, or I'm thinking of random things where like the town is slightly, or someone's slightly. It's any of those movies.
Yeah.
And
those lean more into the folk horror formula, where there's a community that's off, or there's a group of people that's off.
Like, it's like a hybrid of those.
Even something like I Spit on Your Grave. I mean, it's predatory, but in a very different way. It's much more ramped up, where this seems much more demure, I guess is the best word for it. Like it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. It doesn't really like get to the visceral. It's just constantly digging at you. It's constantly just keeping you on edge, which I love it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
for sure.
So to that point, and this is my last question. It made me think, what are other home invasion movies of this style that you all like?
Oh,
you got to remind me of some before I could tell you which. I'm not, like I said, home invasion is like
not really a thing. Yeah. The one that came to mind for me that I really enjoyed was Hush. Have you also?
Oh, I do like Hush. Hush is a good one. Yes.
And Hush, it's very similar to this kind of, it's not ultra violent. It's only two people. So there's not a lot of killing, but it's a constant state of.
Yeah, you got to remind me of some, and then I can. Yeah, Hush, I remember liking. It's actually the only thing I like by what's his face.
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, it's like the only Mike Flanagan thing I like.
I liked Hush a lot.
I haven't watched in a while. Maybe
The Collector, but The Collector goes
Collector's a slasher in a way. Like, I mean, or it's Saw mixed with the home invasion. Like, right? He does dumb shit in that. Like, I mean, I get it. I like The Collector, but it's because it's more in Jamie vein than it is of like.
Yeah, it's all like trying to collect me. Like, it's hard.
The Purge, maybe.
God, The Purge.
I mean, I think technically you could argue Last House on the Left.
No, that's Rape Revenge. Get out of here. That's Rape Revenge, and that's where that falls. Oh, it is. It's not home invasion. They're already there.
It's the template for
but it kind of
No, I'm gonna
like I would even argue like originally.
I just rewatched the remake too.
But I would also say like they're kind of like the first. Maybe one of the early ones where like they go in your home, like they're in your home. Like it wasn't
fair. I'm not denying that they're not in. They are in your state, in your home, but also they go voluntarily in a way. They don't know. And they don't know that they're in the home. It's like different. Like, you know what I mean? I get what you're saying, but like.
And then you get the reverse home invasion, like Don't Breathe, which I thought was a nice.
Don't Breathe is a
I did not like Don't Breathe.
The more I watch Don't Breathe, the more I like it, I think. But maybe it's also
I'm the opposite.
Maybe it's the Fede Alvarez thing, and I won't say I don't like. Oh no, wait, yes I will, because I hated the Texas Chainsaw remake, so never mind.
You did.
And it's Jane Levy, and and then they weren't speaking for a while, but now I think they're okay. So maybe there's always hope for that duo to come. Yeah, he put her through some crap. So
he did, and that's why. Yeah,
everything she was mad about was legitimate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But doesn't mean they didn't churn out some great shit.
Exactly. Yeah, they worked well together.
People did. Yeah. What are guys? Give me some more like major home invasion.
It's kind of crazy because what's that fucking call one?
The what one?
When the
Call
Stranger
came from-
Calls,
Yes.
the classic or the crappy remake?
I mean,
Here's some right here, and I haven't
but the
seen half
remake
these.
was real poop.
Wait, Eli, The Collector is considered a home invasion movie for you.
Because like technically I don't know if he's really a slasher because like he technically jigsaws it.
Your
Ish.
Next is also, and I get
Yeah.
it actually. They
Yeah,
are coming
that
into,
definitely
they are
is.
invading the home.
Did y'all see that Knock at the Cabin movie? I'm looking at a list too.
Yes, the book,
I was
the cabin at the
unimpressed
end of the
with that.
woods. Yeah, at the end of the world. I mean, cabin at the-
book. I have not watched the movie because as much as I've liked Dave Bautista and some stuff from the trailer,
I kind of liked him in this actually.
really?
Eli, the movie's not great, but I kind of liked him in it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I kind of
tell me,
liked. I
Jamie,
like
then
him.
we'll watch
I
it.
like him, and like the movie's not good though. I'm telling you that. And you read the book?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but like I tried to look up. I didn't read the book, but I tried looking up the differences because I just wanted to know what the book had, and I'm not even saying. But like I don't know. I kind of liked him in. I don't know. He might have been the only thing I liked in that movie, but I don't.
Oh, maybe I'll watch it and be mad at you about it later.
Yeah, don't be mad at me if like.
The funny thing is that as I look at this list,
Wait, Mary's favorite is
Strangers?
one.
which one?
Fear.
Oh,
That's
a home
Mary
invasion
made
movie?
us watch it, right?
Oh my
Well,
god!
because
I
he
hate that
tries to
movie.
invade, right? Mary made us watch it, right?
Yes. The worst.
I guess because at the end, yeah, they're getting this list is a little is stretching it thin here.
It's loosey goosey for
Yeah,
sure.
it is loosey goosey.
Oh, High Tension. I don't know if I'd count High Tension as a home invasion movie. Did you ever see High Tension?
Yeah, the
So-
French movie.
They're
Okay,
they
that's been
count
on my
that
list
as a home
forever,
invasion, but
and it
like,
keeps not
Because
ending
that's your
up streaming.
piranha guy.
yeah.
Yeah, and it
I-
keeps not ending up streaming somewhere, and I'm like, and I keep meaning to watch
It's
it.
pretty brutal. That doesn't
Yeah,
surprise me because it's a
I
pretty
like
brutal
High
movie.
Tension a lot. I would not. You've seen it, Dave, right?
Yeah,
I
but
never
he
thought
does.
it was home
He
invasion.
does break into the house though.
Well,
I think
I
we're all
mean-
talking about where the most of the movie.
I'm not going to say what I
like-
want to say because Jamie hasn't
You know,
watched
I
it
haven't
yet.
watched it, and I want to watch it. But
yeah,
like,
I'm not going to spoil it, but like, I mean, Dave,
Does he? Yeah, I
Did he?
understand.
I think we have to go back to like, I think The Strangers 100%. I think Hush 100%. I even think Funny Games if you want 100%. But I think some of these are a stretch. Like now people are just like, if they're in the home. Here's one. This is an interesting one. What about Us? They have that on this list because technically,
It is an invasion of home, but it's
Yeah.
a much broader thing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
having the same experience looking at.
looking at this
I don't know
list.
if it's the same list, but it's a very similar list.
I'm looking at
Oh, here it is.
IGNs. Like,
As
they
I'm
have-
looking at this list, the way Dave defines home invasion, The Strangers and Hush are the only ones that really
Same.
meet my definition.
that's how I am. They have
Same with
Scream
most
listed
of
as a
these.
home invasion movie.
They have what?
Scream.
No,
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
come on.
No.
Of their ranking of the 25.
That's a classic
top
slasher.
25 home invasion movies, Jamie. They
Oh wait,
list
this one is
Scream,
actually. Yeah,
but
listen.
what
Wait.
place do you think they list Scream as?
Oh my god, if it's. I mean, it's not a home invasion, but it should be in the top fucking 3 or 5. Where is it? Like, are you counting? So
I
here's
see
another one. I
Panic
don't know.
Room, but Panic Room
Yes,
is not
Panic
horror to
Room
me.
is here.
No.
It's not horror to me
Panic
either.
Room is thriller.
All right, Jamie, out of
Yeah.
25
Yep.
in the top 25 ranked home invasion films,
They have Scream at 23.
IMDb 21.
That's bullshit.
Do you know
Here's
what their
another-
top 3 are?
What?
The Strangers is number 3, which is kind
I
of
mean,
offensive.
it's home invasion. No, but okay.
It should be number
what's 2 and
1.
1? Let me hear 2 and 1.
Number 2 is The Collector,
No.
and number 1 is
Makes sense.
Inside,
I
which
don't know.
That is on this list.
it is once again one of those movies that it's
I wanted to see it actually.
in the
That's on my
same
list.
vein as another movie where you're like, but is it?
It's in that's on
Like,
my list.
Is it really?
What about this movie? If either of you have seen it, besides, what about Becky? It's a modern one. It's the one where what's his
Oh,
face
yeah,
is playing a
that's,
bad guy.
Shoot. Yeah.
Kevin
what's his name?
James. Kevin James.
Yeah.
King of Queens is the bad guy.
I mean,
Isn't he
that's
like a
more
neo-Nazi in
He's
that?
like a Nazi
Yeah.
bad guy. Too.
That's like more like Kid John Wick.
Yeah.
I don't even know
Yeah,
if I
it's
count it as a
revenge.
horror.
It's revenge.
Yeah.
There's this fine line right now between revenge and home invasion, and I don't even mean rape revenge. Like they still have Last House on the Left. I'm sorry, but Last House on the Left, they don't go into that house to torment that family.
Right.
That's what, to me, a home invasion is. They go into that house without knowing, and then the family takes, like, it's the reverse in a way. Like, I don't know. Like, that's not home invasion because, like, similarly with Don't Breathe, it's a reverse home invasion. Like you said, like, it's not.
And maybe this whole lane of horror, and I totally get it because we've talked about it. Well, and what I was going to say is maybe they don't make them because they're not commercially viable, because these are not movies people want to go see. This is not
fair.
A topic people want to go.
You're right. It's rough. There's not a lot of them.
So they're like, hey, what do you want to watch tonight? Let's watch a story that's going to remind us of the impending doom around us. That could
a bunch of freaks breaking into our house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to add on this home invasion list? Because while we're putting ridiculous things on here, I'm going to put Krampus on there. Because, well, shit. He is home invading that house.
Well, then we can put Halloween, because Michael invades people's houses.
Oh, fair. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
I tell you what's going to go straight to the top is Legend of Boggy Creek. That was a home invasion.
Yeah, that was. And, he invaded that house like the goddamn Kool-Aid Man, which, speaking of that, Kool-Aid Man, home invasion, every commercial. What parents fine with a big glass of juice breaking through a wall? That's all I'm saying.
There's not as many as we thought.
Exactly. And there's probably a good reason.
Yes, because they're upsetting. Yeah. Or we could all just watch true crime on a daily basis, because there's, ID Network, Oxygen, what else? There's like,
you know what the problem with true crime is now?
What's the problem with true crime now?
Popular.
I know, it's so fucking
and
popular.
I remember it's like true crime's been like a thing coming up since like the 60s or 70s, right? But typically they would concentrate on like the big and or crazy or weird stories. But now it's to the point where people are it's like so much that they're picking cases that you're like, okay.
They just,
and they're even making Netflix documentaries about them. There's that one about that guy about whether or not he pushed his wife down the stairs. It's like,
the staircase. There's multiple on him, by the way, because I've watched.
Did he do it, Jamie?
Of course he did. But that's the old one. Listen, of course he did. I don't follow any of the actual whatever. All I know is 3 of his fucking wives have fallen.
Yeah. That's cut and dry. That's it's not there's not, the dude was just
come on, moron.
It's insurance money. We
get a different way.
Yeah. He insurance money, and he's like, oh man, how am I going to trick these insurance agents?
Buy a freaking
down
boat,
the stairs. It's just
my last pick on this, my last complaint about this list of home invasion movies, and it's got Liv Tyler all you want. It's got my fucking dream woman in it, but The Babysitter, come on. The Babysitter?
Yeah.
There's no invading in that home. Now it's they're basically, well, this movie takes place in a house. So,
Yeah. Well, then what
does most of the movie take place in a house? Sure.
Yeah. Then what one of the best home invasion movies of all time is? It's Evil Dead.
That's fair. First of all, they fucking invade that.
They sure house. Do.
That should be number one.
True. That's true. And then we can argue that, Nightmare on Elm Street, because he's not only invading your house.
Oh, he's invading everything.
Your dreams.
Yeah.
Okay. He's invading your house dreams or your dream house.
I think we all agree. Yeah. And we're going to say this to the podcast.
And we're right.
We 3, of course, 90%. The 3 of us agree that home invasion is The Stranger, something where people are terrorizing your home. Even the first Purge, that's fine. That's not even on this fucking list, by the way. The first Purge, I don't think. But sorry, not the movie called The First Purge, because I think that is one. I mean, the first entry into the Purge franchise is home invasion, because they're trying to break into your home or they're tormenting you at your home. Yeah. Just because you're in a home and start killing people does not make it home invasion.
And I would add to my personal definition of home invasion is that the invasion of the home is unmotivated or is thinly motivated at least. That's why this movie is so effective and feels so realistic, is because most of the times it is just because you're home.
Yep.
It isn't somebody you know.
No, it's not someone you know. Yeah, it's not a... So. Although if you ask truth crime, most times it's a spouse or the partners.
Exactly. Unless they're pushing a third spouse down the steps, then it's definitely not them.
Not for certain things. But like I said, once again, people watching true crime, not every case needs to be a true crime story, okay?
No, of course not. But they're running out of things to do.
That's just...
And that's the most upsetting thing is, Jamie, is they're not. There is so much of this awful crap out there. We've been
It
doing
keeps
this
happening.
for 20 years and they keep making new ones because people are
for
awful.
fuck's sake, like I have a minor side note and it's really not important, but whatever. I used to work on Oxygen. It is a network for those that don't know. When I used to work on it, it was Bravo's sister network. So it was reality television. But like the shows that couldn't make it to Bravo, they went to Oxygen. Then Oxygen came out with Snapped. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever watched Snapped, but it is kind of fucking fantastic. So Oxygen came out with Snap, and it is just about people who snap and kill someone. Now, Snapped is now going. It must be in season fucking 37. Like, because first of all, it's one of those shows. Well, it's one of those shows that like has double or triple seasons a year. You know what I'm trying to say? But like, Snapped has Snap Killer Couples, Snap something else, Snap, and then like so much so that Oxygen, right after I left it and moved on to more important things, became a true crime network because Snapped was like the number one thing
all
on
that people
network.
were watching.
It was all like they like I watched it like slowly happen because they would just put it on the schedule more and more and more. And I was like, this is gonna go true crime. Like there's no doubt in my mind that we're done with Bad Girls Club or whatever else was fucking on. Like this is go. So anyway, point being is that Oxygen, a whole network spawned, and others have too. But I'm just saying I watched the network spawn out of because people just cannot have enough of women, because it used to start as women too. Snap was all women. That was the other thing. So like people cannot have enough of just these women who fucking killed their husbands.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, the same thing happened to the History Channel, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like the History Channel used to have a few of these, and then they spawned, what was it, Detective Stories or the whole other channel about true crime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they did that, but then the other thing too, like the History Channel used to.
We are the worst.
Talk about stories about history, and then they had that like lost chapters of the Bible, and then like Aztec aliens, and now 90% of their stuff is like weird fucking conspiracy theories. Not even like
and they have Pawn Stars in between,
ones.
Right? Isn't Pawn Stars a history or is it TL?
No, that's on one of the channels.
I thought it started on History, didn't it? Okay. Okay.
Maybe, but like I think the only history they actually show now is on the 4th of July. They're like, "I'll watch Gettysburg, I guess." But right after, the alien guy is gonna be talking about how Mayan aliens.
Dave's right. We are the worst as a fucking society. Like, because look at what the only thing that these networks can put on television is fucking true.
Us doing terrible things to
or aliens. Like it's like there's no.
It's
fucking awful.
You know, people. That's a fault.
And reality.
Maybe go for a walk in the woods. That's all Dave wants to say.
Read a book. Or just, maybe we're performing a self-fulfilling prophecy here. That's all I'm saying.
It sounds like we may have said everything we want to say about
yeah, we may have gone because we haven't seen each other in a little bit.
Yeah.
By a little bit, I mean like a week or two. But like, it's like
been a minute.
Yeah. Don't get any problems or we'll invade your house and Dave will be wearing his mask.
Exactly. And it is upsetting. Just go to YouTube to find out.
But
no, I can't. Oh my God,
let me clarify. We won't murder you, but like Dave will just be standing there doing hand motions with his mask. I'll be shitting on your floor, presumably.
Dave will be zooming into your nightmares, is what Dave will be
doing. I'll be 2 inches from your nose.
And you'll watch Jamie build her giant Art the Clown statues all over your house. And you have to guess if they're plugged in or not.
Well, on that note, you have that to look forward to. But there is no Dave's Critter Corner because there's no critters in this movie. So fair enough on that. So Eli, what are we following up The Strangers with?
I wonder.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm a little disappointed there's no Dave Critter Corner considering there was an angel in this movie named Liv Tyler.
Oh my God.
But on the Campfire Tales, now, as we all know, more recent true crime I tend to stay away from because, people are still alive and stuff.
Because it's true.
It's true.
Except that there's whole networks based on it, but
there is. But we are going to talk about the Ketty Cabin murder and some maybe theories as there's actually police have stated that there's going like a break in the case. They're going to be bringing it up soon. So can
you tell us, no spoilers, just like what, because I'm unfamiliar. What year is this story from?
Oh my God.
Like the 1980s. Okay. I was just curious what decade we're going to. What decade we're going to on Campfire Tales?
1 second. Yep. 81.
Oh, nice. We're in the 80s. Okay. Well, early 80s. So late 80s.
We're going to 1981 in a little state known as California.
It was in fucking California. Okay.
It was another Northern California, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird part of California. Everybody knows that.
That's the weird part. Okay,
let's say that. No, I was going to say that. I'm from New York, and I was going to say that's the weird part of California. Listen.
Yeah, everybody knows that. But I figured we're gonna talk about it because that way people will kind of learn about it, and then presumably hopefully next couple months they might actually finally be able to tell us what happened.
Eli's out here solving crimes and saving lives.
I didn't want to say anything. I warned you about the Mothman. I warned you about the aliens. I warned you about Bigfoot Muay Thai kicking trees. What more do you want from me?
Fair enough. So thanks for listening. We do ask that you subscribe if you enjoy our show, rate the show, tell your friends about our show if you think they'd be into it. You can go to our website to learn more about my hosts or to read some of our book reviews and some of the other stuff we've got going on. It's thewickedwild.com. We are on social media. We're on X at wickedwildweare, Slasher, the horror only community at wickedwildweare. We're on Instagram at wickedwildpod. And as I've referenced several times, we do have a YouTube channel. You just search the Wicked Wild Podcast on YouTube and you'll find our shining faces. If you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback about the show, we'd love to have it. You can send me an email like the old farts do, podcast@thewickedwild.com. That's all I've got. Y'all got anything else? Any other news?
No.
Eli, you'd think that Liv Tyler would have been upset when the strangers cut off the lights. But she seemed delighted. Good night, everybody.
Oh.